The new millennium generation, people born after 1980, sometimes called Generation Y. I'm curious, how many of you are in this generation, Generation Y, people born after 1980? Let me see. Oh, look at them out there. There's a little pod of them. I get to just stand up here and watch them ignore me. I know what they're thinking. She won't notice me texting as long as I maintain eye contact. Now, when I think about this generation, I think about my cousin Hannah. She's a new millennium generation person. She is so enthusiastic. She is off the charts. You ask her a simple question, hey Hannah, do you want to go to the store with me? Hannah will stop what she's doing. She looks you directly in the eye and she says, Meagan, I, Hannah Ken, would love to go to the store with you. Let's go. I also have another cousin. His name is Brendan. He's also a new generation. He got a tattoo. I actually love tattoos. I'm just too afraid to get one. But I saw Brendan and I went up to him. I said, Brendan, let's see the tattoo. And he rolled up his sleeve. Right here on his bicep, one word he had tattooed on his arm. It read, Brendan. He had tattooed his own name on his bicep. So here's what I'd like you to do. We don't have a lot of time together, so we're going to move real fast. Gen Yers, new millenniums, people born after 1980, raise your hands one more time. Okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to look around, find another Gen Yer, new millennium person. I need you to get into a group. Get into a group of 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's what I need you to do. You need to do it quick. And here's what I'd like you to do together. I need you to create a list of words. List means at least 3. At least 3 words that describe interacting and working with the older generations. Now, don't give me some sugar-coated list. Don't tell me about when you joined the travel industry, you had a mentor that showed you the ropes. No, I want to hear a realistic list, like about that person that calls you at midnight because they can't get Google Maps to talk to them. So that's what I need from the Gen Yers. The rest of you, non-Gen Yers, look around the row, make eye contact with 3 or 4 other people, and I need you to get into a group and create a list of words that describe the younger generation. And you're describing somebody that's a thorn in your side, a burr under your saddle. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I want to hear what you have to say. Go. Fifteen more seconds. Okay. Let me interrupt you there. AV people, am I going to get any feedback if I walk out into the audience? I'm okay? All right, excellent. Everybody, do your best John Travolta Saturday Night Fever style and point to the sky. Point to the sky, and the count of 3, you point to your group spokesperson. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hey, Tammy, we did talk on the phone. All right, so I want to talk to the Gen Yers, new millenniums first. Tell me the top thing on your list that describes interacting and working with the older generations. Give me one. They micromanage. They want to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. They want you in the office at 8 a.m., right? What else? Give me another one. What was it? They're stagnant. Sure, tell me your name. Lovely person in the yellow back here. She said stagnant, and your name is? Allison, and where do you work, Allison? Arkansas Tech University. How long you been there, Allison? 7 years. That's a long time for a new millennium generation. Average is less than 3. Let's give her a round of applause. But But she said stagnant. I think that she has a point. I mean, sometimes they're just a little stuck in their ways. In fact, Allison, she had this really good idea. She had this great idea, and she called this person over here. She said, come over here. She said, take a look at this, says Allison. Allison said, I think if we move this, change this, flip this, turn this, it'll be bigger, it'll be brighter, save us money, save us time. What do you think? Wow. And this person over here who's been at Arkansas Tech University for a long time, they were here before we were even a university. We were just Arkansas. They look at what Allison's suggesting and they say, well, that won't work. No, really, says Allison, move it, change it, flip it, it'll be good, it'll be exciting. It won't work. Why won't this work, said Allison. I've given this a lot of thought. Why won't it work? We tried that before. We tried this before, says Allison. I've been here for 7 years. I don't remember trying this. When did we try this? We tried it before you were born. All right, let me hear from everybody else. What do you have on your list about the younger generation? Tell me. Impatient. They want to know when they're going to get a raise. When am I going to get a promotion? I have been here for 2 weeks. What else have you got? Techie. Oh, yeah. They'll stand right next to you and text you. Then they look at you and say, did you get my text? Smiley face. All right, what else? Entitled. You owe me. I showed up, didn't I? 15 minutes late, almost early. But I have to leave at 5, I have plans. If you'd read my Twitter feed, you'd know that. What else? Disrespectful, rude. What else? Not patient. Know-it-all. Of course they know it all. They just graduated. Very educated, okay? Very educated, yes. Brash. In fact, they'll say to you, oh, this is just a job. This isn't my career. I'm not going to be here years from now when I'm old, like you. All right, good job. Round of applause, both sides. Good job. Now, you heard in my introduction that I speak to groups about different generations. In every group, I ask them to participate in this exercise. I ask the younger generation to create a list of words to describe the older generation, and I ask everybody else to create a list of words that describe the younger generation. And you know what? Same list of words. Doesn't matter if I'm speaking to a travel group, like yourselves, or a government group like the CIA, or a restaurant group like Bubba Gump Shrimp. Gen Y gives me the same list of words to describe the older generation, and everybody else gives me the same list of words to describe the younger generation. And since I am not a Gen Yer, what I've done over the past year is I have collected all the words that I hear groups like yourselves use to describe the younger generation. I've got them on a slide. Some of them are exactly what you've given me, some are a little different, but here they are. Bad attitude. They just do not have a teamwork attitude. Continually complaining, gossip, lazy, rude, apathetic, wants reward. My favorite one's the last one. They want to have fun. Oh, and they're irritated if it's not fun. Dealing with this angry customer is not fun. Dealing with restaurants that close right before we show up is not fun. Now I have to tell you something about my list. I got this list actually out of a magazine. I got this list out of Life magazine, 1968. Baby boomers. How many of you are baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964? Raise your hands, baby boomers. Oh, look at you, it's like a baby boomer convention in here. Baby boomers, let's review. Baby boomers, your managers thought you had bad attitudes. You complained, gossip, lazy, rude, apathetic, want a reward, and all you want to do is have fun. Now all the baby boomers are sitting there saying, well, that's character building. That's what that is. That's all character building stuff. How many of you are Generation X? That's my generation, born between 1965 and 1980. We're the Gen Xers, yeah. Yeah, don't sit there so smug. In 1998, Fortune magazine called us the gold collar workers. This was not a compliment. And the article went on to say that we had unrealistic expectations. We wanted to do things like home office. How crazy is that? So what's my point? My point is that whenever a new generation enters the marketplace, the workplace, joins you at the bank, those of you that are bank travel groups, joins you, some of you Parks and Rec, some of you I realize are Chamber of Commerces, some of you provide travel services. When they join you, we often use the same negative words to describe that incoming generation. And I think in part, those negative words stem from a sense of frustration the older generation has with the younger generation's youthfulness. And the definition of youthful that I am using means new. They have a new, different set of experiences than you do. I call these experiences generational signposts. And a generational signpost is an event or phenomena that is specific to one generation. It shapes and influences the way we perceive conflict. It drives us when it comes to motivation, but most importantly, our generational signposts bond us to one another. We share a unique connection with other people that share our generational signposts. Every generation is marked by what I call a point of no turning back. And what that means is the way we do business, the way we communicate, the way we facilitate our day-to-day lives changes so drastically that the way we operated previously becomes almost obsolete. The tools you use change. The tools you use to plan travel today is different than the tools you used 10, 5 years ago, even a year ago. Wouldn't it make sense the tools you use with the multiple generations should change also? Because in less than 10 years, the majority of us in this room are going to be working with, depending on, and even being managed by these people right here. A generation of people that have no emotional connection to the generational signposts that are driving your decisions today. And that's why understanding generations and their generational signposts is so vital. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to look at the generations, their generational signposts, and what you can do to make each encounter, an encounter on a travel excursion or an encounter in your own home, a more successful one. Sound good? All right, I want to make you aware that at your table you had a generational decoder card. It's a low-down, dirty summary of everything we're talking about. If you get back to your offices and would like some additional copies, call me, email me. I'll send you as many complimentary copies as the decoder card you need. I also have a top 10 sheet that I can email you. If you would like me to email that to you, there's a little feedback form, has my face on it. Fill it out, include your email, and I will email you the top 10 list. Sound good? Yes, all right. It starts our timeline with the traditional generation. These are people born before 1945, sometimes called the mature generation, sometimes called the silent generation. My favorite name for this generation is one coined by Tom Brokaw, the greatest generation. Do we have anybody from this generation with us today? We do. Let's give them a big round of applause. As this generation came home from World War II, came out of the Great Depression, they really laid down the bedrock that our society is built on today. And they began to have children, which is what I think these two people are about to do. And that's where we have the baby boom. These are people born between 1946 and 1964. Baby boomers, I know I asked you once, I'm gonna ask you again, raise your hands, raise them high. Look around and wave to each other, baby boomers. Look at all the baby boomers in this room today. Baby boomers, it's huge. 77 million people were born, 77 million. Do you realize as baby boomers reach senior citizenship, the number of senior citizens we have in our country is going to double? I mean, that's like taking every single person that lives in California and every single person that lives in the New England states. That's how many senior citizens we're going to have. And they're still going to be driving. Inside every baby boomer, there is a kid wondering what the heck happened. This guy's just wondering what the heck happened to my pants. Biggest mistake we make with baby boomers is we assume baby boomers are not interested in technology. Baby boomers are interested in technology. In fact, some of you may not know this, baby boomers were the very first iPhone users. They had iPhones before anybody. Here's the generational difference with technology. Baby boomers want to understand, how is this technology going to make my job or life easier? In planning travel, you now are using technology that you were not using 10, 15 years ago. But you learn to use it because you recognize there is a way to make your job or life easier. If you're an early adapter to technology, for example, you're using technology in a scenario where people are not using it, you're walking into a meeting with a tablet, but everyone else is taking notes, let people know what you're using your technology for. Because if you're using a tablet in a meeting where everyone's taking notes, I promise you, everyone taking notes is thinking you're playing a game on that tablet. So let people know what you're using your technology for, and take the time to demonstrate to the baby boomer how that technology will make their job or life easier. Now, as baby boomers, during the late 60s and early 70s, baby boomers really began to challenge and question society's rules. And during the late 60s and the early 70s, a lot of baby boomers had pharmaceutical assistants. Some of you had more than others. This is actually a picture of my two favorite baby boomers, my mom and dad. That's my dad in the center wearing a flowered blouse. And that's my mom in the corner. I love my mom so much, but the best part of this picture, you see what she's holding in between her fingers? Yeah, she told me during my entire adolescence, she told me she never smoked. So she must be holding that for somebody else. And as baby boomers challenged society's rules, the birth rate began to fall. And this is where we have Generation X, people born between 1965 and 1980. Gen Xers, where are you? Woohoo! Well, that was anticlimactic. Wow. Let's try it again. And the birth rate began to fall. This is where we have Generation X, people born between 1965 and 1980. Gen Xers! Yes! We're the smallest. We're barely there. In 6 years, we'll represent 13% of the entire population. We barely make it. Good things come in small packages. I like that answer. And we love to pound our chest. We love to say things like Generation X, it means X marks the spot. No, it doesn't. The X is actually part of an algebraic formula. It has no value. That's how important we are. We've got a name with no meaning or value. And Generation X, we were the first generation in large numbers to have both parents working outside the home. And so Generation X, when we were young and we came home from school, mom wasn't there, dad wasn't there, grandma and grandpa, they maybe didn't even live in the same state. Nobody was there. What do we call them? Anybody remember? Latchkey kids. I do not think being a latchkey kid was a bad deal. Because as a latchkey kid, here's how it worked. When I was a little kid and I was at school, from 8 to 3, I always thought it was so weird. We had to obey all these rules for our safety. Then 3 o'clock, they open the doors, you're free to go. Woohoo! Time is your own. You don't have to hurry home. There's nobody waiting for you. We sauntered on home when we felt like it. We let ourselves right in the front door. We could let ourselves in the front door because we had our own key. Where do we keep our key, Gen Xers? Anybody remember? Little string around your neck. We let ourselves in the front door, and there sitting on the kitchen counter was a list of tasks that had been left by management. And here are the rules. It is a simple system. The tasks must be completed on time, and on time means before 6 o'clock. That's when mom and dad get home. So if we do home at 6 o'clock, when do we start doing the tasks? About 5:45, yeah. But it's up to us to decide. We can decide when to start, when to stop. We can decide how many breaks to take. If something goes wrong, there's nobody there to help us. We've got to solve the problem, complete the task, and move on. So Generation X has become our most independent generation. And they join you, and their attitude is, hey, tell me what you want done, give me the tools and training to do it, and then just leave me alone. We cannot forget about our friends, the baby boomers. The baby boomers are known as our teamwork generation. Baby boomers have team meetings, team leaders, group hugs. Baby boomers like to have meetings to talk about the next meeting. And Generation X, when we came home, what did we do? We didn't surf the internet. We watched TV. TV became a signpost for Generation X. And in 1968, a television producer, she asked herself this point of no return question. And that question was, what if we took learning for children and we made learning taste more like ice cream than spinach? And the answer to that question is a show that's still on the air today called Sesame Street. And Sesame Street revolutionized children's programming. Sesame Street took learning and made learning fun. So some of you may say, well, so what? Well, what that means is that for Generation X and every generation that follows, learning and fun are intertwined, not separate entities. And Generation X is the first generation to not look at their job as a job, but an experience. What's the experience I'm gonna have working for the travel group? What's the experience I'm gonna have working within your chamber? What's the experience? How will my tool belt be bigger, my skill set be stronger? And with Generation X, sometimes we have to look at the ordinary and see something different. Now, after 1980, the birth rate started to climb. This is where we have the new millennium generation, sometimes called Generation Y. Let's see their hands one more time. Where's the Gen Ys? Let's give them a big round of applause. Yes? For the first time in history, we have two generations. We got Gen Xers, Gen Yers. We are side by side, and we have the same set of parents, baby boomers. Baby boomers, your parents are both Gen Xers and Gen Yers. In fact, some baby boomers, you had yourself a Gen X kid, and you thought, well, that stunk. I'm gonna have myself a Gen Yer now. But you are a different type of parent to Generation Y than you were to Generation X. For example, did we use the word latchkey kid to describe Generation Y, yes or no? No. We use words like stay-at-home dad, soccer mom, play dates, family time. It's the quality of the time that matters. This generation has had one, sometimes two parents involved in the activities they participate in, the friends they have, sometimes even the jobs they choose. And the end result is we have a younger generation that has remained very close to their parents. Average age that the new millennium generation moves out of their parents' home is now 26 years old. According to a Gallup poll, 90% of the new millennium generation report being close to their parents. Compare that to 1974, 40% of baby boomers said they'd be better off without their parents. So, 77 million baby boomers. Remember, 77 million? You ready for the total number of new millenniums? Ready for that? 80 million. They've surpassed the baby boomers. In 5 years, they will represent 40% of the workforce, and in 10 years, they will be 75% of the global workforce. This is not a generation we can ignore. As our most important employee benefit, 33% of recent college grads chose training and development over salary, and it's this last percentage I am so excited about. 98% felt that working with mentors is important. You have a large generation entering the workforce, joining your travel groups, and they're looking for people to kind of mentor them, not mother them, not parent them, but mentor them. And that is our responsibility to welcome this generation into the workforce. USA Today had a great article. They recently interviewed college professors, and college professors were dumbfounded because their students that were about to graduate college were turning in papers filled with instant message language. We all know what instant message language is. And in the same study, when they interviewed the students were just as baffled because they weren't even aware they were using the instant message language. It had become so second nature. And I thought to myself, wow, even the way we write to each other has changed. So for example, if somebody from the traditional generation was gonna write a letter to Tom Smith, how would someone from the traditional generation start that letter to Tom Smith? Dear Mr. Smith. How would the baby boomer start that letter to Tom Smith? Dear Tom. How would the Gen Xer start that letter to Tom Smith? Let's go with Tom, shall we, Gen Xers? How would the new millennium Generation Y person start that letter? Hey, what's up, dude? They wouldn't even write a letter. There'd be no letter. But they'd send you a text that says, I'm too hot for you. Or they might not even send you a text, they'll send you emojis. I'm too hot for you. You gotta look at that for a little bit, don't you? Oh, the emoji language. What's my point? My point is that sometimes we discount the skill set this phenomenal generation brings into your travel group. We discount their skill set because it is a different set of skills than we had at that age. Hey, just because it worked before doesn't mean it's gonna work this time. So just because it's the way you've always done it doesn't mean it's gotta be the way you do it today. So here's your litmus test. You're like, but Meagan, I've got seasoned travelers, I'm trying to plan the right trip at the right time. I can't throw all the rules out the window. True. So here's your litmus test. You got a person on your team, new generation person, they wanna mix things. They wanna change it, flip it, turn it. Rather than saying no right off the bat, ask yourself these 4 questions. Does whatever that new millennium person is suggesting, does it negatively impact cost, quality, safety, or service? Does it negatively impact cost, quality, safety, or service? And if the answer is no, that is your little red flag to say, all right, let's take a minute and take a look at the idea they're proposing. Because the new millennium generation wants to make a difference in the workplace, and they are looking to challenge the old ways of thinking. And that's why mentoring them along this process is so vital to your travel groups. Now I'm going to do a quick time check. How am I doing on time? Where's my timekeeper? How am I doing on time? Awesome. I was in the car with my father. A song came on the radio called Love the One You're With. How many of you heard that song, Love the One You're With? Have you heard? Oh, it's a great song. And when it came on the radio, I told my dad, I said, turn it up, I love this song. He said, really? He said, why do you like it? I said, well, I like the message it sends. He said, well, what do you think the message is? I said, well, the line in the song, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. I said, what that means is if the one that you love dumps you, you gotta love the one you're with. And the one you're with is yourself. You have to love yourself first. I told my dad it is clearly a song about self-empowerment. He said that's not what the song means. And after he told me what the song meant, I said, that's disgusting. Because there's certain things you never want to hear your mom or dad say. I said, here's the difference, Dad. You grew up with that cornball slogan, free love. Spare me. I grew up in the 80s. There's no such thing as a free lunch, much less free love. But this younger generation, they don't even need to see you face to face to communicate because they feel comfortable using technology. For the first time in history, we have a younger generation that knows more about something we need to know. We'll bring a brand new computer home. We'll call our kids over. We'll point to the computer. We'll say to our kids, okay, how do you install the parental controls? They've got the answers. And what's interesting, though, is we get frustrated by their dependency on technology. And we say, you know what? I don't want to see any more cell phones. No more cell phones. And if no more cell phones, no more Facebook. I don't want people to be using Facebook in the office. And definitely no more texting. I don't know what you're doing when you're texting. We're in a meeting. You shouldn't be texting. And Twitter, I hate that blue bird. And twerking, forget about it. I had an audience member say to me the other day, she said to me, now twerking, is that when you text from the office? I said, yes, it is. But here's the translation. I mean, what we're saying to this generation when we discount technology, that's a vital part of communication. I mean, the new millennium generation feels that technology is the top defining characteristic of their generation. They feel that it brings family and friends closer, makes life easier, and when we are so flippant and discount it, here's the translation. No smiling, no laughing, no talking, no fun, no trust. Number one complaint from the new millennium generation is we do not trust them. If we are going to allow them to grow within the travel agency, within your travel groups, and by investing in this generation, what it does is also bring new, younger customers. If we're going to do that, we have to learn to trust them, trust the skill set they are bringing. Because it is that emotional connection we have, that emotional connection we all have with our generational signposts. That's how we take multiple generations and work successfully as one. Thank you very much.